Hello, and welcome to Here We Are, the mindful podcast for millennials, where it's all about remembering where we've been, knowing where we're going, and taking up space in the present through the art of storytelling. I'm your host, Teka, and I'll tie together the practice of presence and life lessons with faith and mental health nuggets too. Whether sharing my own experiences or featuring a special guest, I hope to inspire you to take control of your story and take control of your life. I hope you receive what you need from today's episode. And remember to check out the show notes in the description for links that I reference. Ready? Let's journey. Hello, and welcome to season 2 of the Here We Are podcast, the mindful podcast for millennials. I'm really excited, y'all, because today's episode, season 2, episode 1, is dropping on Galentine's Day. So this is all about sisterhood, friendship, love, ladies celebrating ladies. And did you know that there's actually different types of friendship? There's actually 5 stages or levels of friendship. There's like the casual stranger, right? So that means I like you. There's the acquaintance. I know you. There's the friend, kind of like it could be a romantic friend or a platonic friend. That's the I connect with you. And then there is the really intimate and close friend. I understand you. And so I want to actually talk about what does it take to form a sister friendship or a close friendship? How do you get to sustaining these for such a long time? And why is it sometimes challenging in adulthood? So I actually have 2 of my favorite people on the podcast today. My friends, Stephanie and JL. They are 2 of my closest friends. Hi. You know how Jesus kind of had the 12 disciples and he had the inner circle. They're in the inner circle. Okay. And so I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about Stephanie and JL. So let's start with Stephanie because I met JL through Stephanie. So I'm going to kind of piece it all together for y'all. Stephanie and I met in 2008 in college. We went to undergraduate together, and I was the kind of naive suburban girl coming from who knows what, a strict and kind of sheltered life. And Stephanie was the cool, connected, charismatic one. And so when we met, we didn't initially mesh. I think our personalities were kind of just filling each other out at first. And so
funny.
By the time we really got to know each other, I think we became inseparable. We met freshman year, and then we lived together sophomore, junior, and senior year. I tell people we need to write a book on how to be a great roommate because she's the only person I would live with, to be honest. But from there, you know, our college experience was really fun. We had a close-knit group of friends, girlfriends. It was like 4 or 5 of us. And we just knew we were living on a reality TV show. We had these aliases for ourselves from Waiting to Exhale and Girlfriends. Like we really saw each other through some ups and downs. And I think that after college, people grow, right? You kind of separate, go your separate ways. But Stephanie and I, for some reason, couldn't let each other go. And so through Stephanie, I met JL. JL was who Stephanie coined was the reminder of me, or I reminded her of JL. And I'm like, well, okay, so why? So we're both tall, we're both chocolatey, we're both bubbly and energetic. So when I met her, I was like, well, who is this? And why are we similar? Why are we supposedly twins? That initial apprehension turned into us just kind of becoming best friends. We started to really connect even outside of our connection with Stephanie, which can be hard if you're in a friendship kind of like trio or circle close knit. But I'm glad that it didn't drive a wedge. It just made us all closer. And so JL is the Capricorn of our group. She is the organized one. She is the money maker. She is the go-getter. Jill has her own business on the side, and she's also running the entire government, I think. And so between the different seasons of life, we all have kind of rode the wave with each other. We've experienced heartbreak. We've experienced celebrations, loss, children being born, dogs being adopted, and then passing away, husbands, boyfriends, just so many things, new jobs, entrepreneurship. All of us are entrepreneurs. We have been through it. And so that is one of the reasons I wanted them to come onto the podcast today, because I wanted to talk about, like, through everything that happens in life, how do you form a sisterhood? How do you form sister friends? And how does it maintain throughout the ups and downs of life? So all that being said, I want to hop into the conversation first just by asking, like, what you both define a sister friend as. What is a sister friend, in your opinion?
How much time we got?
We have about 20 minutes now.
I think the simplest way to describe it off the top of my head would be just someone who you connect with and who is able to evolve with you in the different stages of life. You know, you describe, you know, JL and I meeting in middle school, and somehow, by the grace of God, we've been able to, our relationship and us individually have been able to evolve with the different seasons that we've gone through in life. Not without conflict, but being able to, you know, adjust and shift the relationship as needed is kind of how I would describe that. And just someone you love having fun with, and just you can be your full, vulnerable self.
Yeah. What do you think, Jay?
Along with that, a part of the definition of evolving, which also includes shedding. So shedding those moments, shedding, you know, who you once were in all those different seasons of life. And as Stephanie said, someone who can really just adapt to all those different times. You know, you're a different person than who you were in middle school, high school, and college, as a wife, as a mother, as a dog owner. You know, different priorities, things shift in your life. And so having a sister friend, you know, someone who's a friend who's so close to your family that they are now your sister is gold.
I think all of us, and you both said like a key word that stood out to me, which was evolve. And that does, you know, point to the different seasons of life and how as individuals we have evolved, but as friendships or in connections, you have to evolve with that person in a sense. And I feel like what can be a challenge for some people, and even has maybe been a challenge for us, is the expectations evolve. And so when you're evolving, when you're going through different seasons, how do you all notice expectations have to change? And like, what did that look like? Because I have my idea of like what that has felt like and looked like amongst us. And so from your own personal experience, as you're evolving, how did the expectations change?
You can go first.
Y'all so polite.
I know, right? I think the hardest part of that is sometimes you may not know. And I think having a sister friend there to be with you in the unknown and to just accept that as the answer is a part of it. So sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it is a growing statement. Sometimes it's a growing conclusion, all those things. But I think when you do have the words, whether you are processing with your therapist, with a life coach, with whatever, you're able to share with that person what it means for you. So you're able to have a conversation, and then it's a discussion rather than these are the expectations that I have for you. Can you meet them? Yes or no? You know what I mean? It's not a checklist. It's not do you want to date me? Yes or no? It's more of this is what I'm feeling, and this is what it has meant to me after I've sat with it. After, you know, I've been uncomfortable for a while. And here's how I think we can meet. What do you think?
Yeah. That makes sense. It made me think of how, like, in friendship. So take all of our connections, for example, middle school, college. Friendship was based off of like proximity. It was very convenient. It was easy. And so there weren't a lot of, in my experience, and you all can share too, but in my experience, there weren't a lot of like super intentional conversations about the expectations because it was just very easy. right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for example, Stephanie and I were roommates. So if I needed something or I wanted to talk to her or hang out, I just go across the hall or go across the living room.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily something that I was like, man, okay, so let me figure out a time to call her, or we need to text, or it didn't feel super difficult. I mean, granted, we did have like some hard conversations in college, and I think that was just the budding and growing therapist in us amongst our group of friends. But I think that it gets harder once you go through the seasons of life that kind of, it causes cause your paths to diverge. Meaning like in college, we're on the same path. In middle school, we're on the same path. We're on the same track. Whether we have different interests, that's okay. But more than likely the thing that connects us is that we're all in the same space. After college, or kind of like that introduction to adulthood, things start to change. Whether you're moving physically or you get a different job, you get into a relationship, like that's when the paths start to branch out and we get different forks in the road. And so it's not as easy to kind of maintain this connection. And so like you said, JL, it takes a conversation and communication, but it also takes vulnerability, because it's not easy in a romantic relationship to be like, I need this from you, or like, I miss you, or here's what I need for me to feel safe with you. So imagine like in a friendship, especially amongst women, that takes some vulnerability, especially if you've never had that conversation before, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think, Stephanie?
I think the only thing I would add that hasn't already been said is just, I think it comes down to like you being aware enough of yourself and what your own needs are, and being mindful of who God has placed in your life and what roles they serve. And so I can be a pretty critical friend. I'm aware of that. I give a lot in my friendships, and so sometimes I can require a lot. And I think I had to have a moment in, this season of my life where I feel like I do require a lot of understanding who, even though I have these expectations, my friends are not expected to be and do all of those things. And so I am thankful that now I am becoming more aware of like, okay, so these are the things that my friends can, provide for me. These are the ways that I need to fulfill myself. These are the way that God is going to fulfill me. And these are the ways that my husband and, my other family will fulfill those things. And so I think just being aware and knowing, you may have those expectations, but our sister friends are not filling all of those. And so we got to diversify where we're getting that support from. And I'm thankful to be learning that lesson. Yeah. So
like how you said that you're even now in adulthood, like we grown. We all got, whole bills and rent, mortgages, kids, and we're still having to learn how to, one, become aware of what it is that we need, and then two, be okay with accepting that maybe my sister friend can't meet that need. And I think that from what I see, whether it be from clients or other friends that are in my life, that is sometimes very hard. Like I have had a hard conversation with a friend of mine where things were changing for me. I was going through things within my mental health journey, my relationship. And so I was not in a space where I was very the warm, bubbly, energetic Teka. I was very like, things were heavy for me. And sometimes moments were darker. And I was like, I don't got it to give. But this friend couldn't accept that in that moment. And it was hard. We kind of had a butting of heads where it was like, is she aware of what she needs and that I can't be everything? And am I aware of what I'm going through? And am I asking for what I need, whether it's patience, whether it's a friend to just understand, whether it's some time to say, you know what, I'm going to be in my little hermit crab shell for about a week or two. I'm going to see you on the other side because I have some things I need to do, whether I need to get in my prayer closet, whether I need to talk to my therapist or take a nap. But I feel like you said, that self-awareness is so important of knowing like, what am I going through and what are my needs and expectations? What is my friend going through and what is her capacity? And am I willing to kind of accept what she can or can't give?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can think of like a conversation that we have had because now we're going to get vulnerable. This is the vulnerable part of the podcast, y'all. If y'all can think of a conversation that maybe we've had, whether it's all three of us or just one-on-ones, where you did have to express your expectations or share what you needed. What would you say was the hardest part of that conversation? And what would you say was the result of it? Like, did you get what you thought you were going to get out of that conversation?
Yeah. As much as I like conflict, I feel like I haven't had as much conflict as like I think we've had. But specifically for you and I, Teka, I think our most recent conversation just about, you know, me moving back to Virginia and, you know, just feeling like, dang, we live 5 minutes away from each other and don't see each other.
Literally.
Or, you know, it feels like we kind of get stuck in like one way of spending our time together and not like, you know, all of these other ways that, you know, we could explore together. And so I think the hardest part about that conversation was just being that I know you and I know your heart. Obviously, I didn't want anything that I was saying to be misinterpreted or for you to take it to mean that I was saying that you were a bad friend or, you know, anything like that, because I know you value our friendship a lot. And so I was like, I don't know how she's going to take this. And I also know that I can come off pretty like direct and straightforward. And so I didn't want my directness to be interpreted as like coldness or, you know, whatever. Obviously the result, spoiler alert, was still friends. And we figured it out. You know, I think we kind of had to, it was rough for a couple of days. Like it was like, okay, did I hear that right? Or like, I'm misinterpreting this sentence, or did she say that? And, you know, it took us a while to kind of work through that part of it, but it was still like, girl, I'm not about to sit here and text you about this. Like, get on the phone and let's talk about this. And so I think it just was a give and take in like even still managing the conflict after the initial conversation. And then just deciding like, okay, we're going to work on being better about the things that were discussed. And so, I mean, you could let me know, but I feel like we worked through it and things are, you know, better. We just had dinner last night. So
we did. We did. I agree. I think that, okay, so one thing you said, and I try to say this often to myself, is like, assume the most generous thing about your friend, meaning like, remember their heart for you and look at their actions as like maybe a reflection of a need that's not being met, or don't personalize maybe the delivery of what they're telling you and kind of really think about the message behind it. I think for me, so I've been working even through now my own like anxieties about relationships and what it means when there's conflict in them. And so it was hard for me too to get feedback. I think you and I, Stephanie, have had only probably like 2 or 3 like hard conversations. I'll never forget. So this is a side note, but relevant. I'll never forget when we had in college where, y'all, mind you, me and Stephanie lived together. We had the same major, which means we were in the majority of the same classes together. And we had some sort of conflict. I can't even remember what it was, but we were not talking to each other. Can you imagine how awkward that is to be walking around the house or apartment together, sitting in class? Now it's all of a sudden we in different seats and people looking like, not the 2 black girls in class not sitting next to each other. But that moment, I think eventually Stephanie was like, are we going to talk or not? Like, open my bedroom door. And I was like, yes, I was waiting.
I was not that aggressive. I was like, so
it's not
address it.
She did. In my mind, I was like, she came flying in like, we not about to do this, okay? We're not going to handle conflict in our home. But I think between that one, listen. Between that one and then ones we've had in our 20s or 30s, I think that they have been hard. But what happens on the other side of it is there's like almost like a reinforcement of that connection. Because it's like, dang, like we were able to make it through that conflict. And again, conflict's not a bad word. I can be a little conflict aversive too, because I don't really like the discomfort that comes with it. But afterwards, like on the other side, it does kind of reinforce that, like, dang, like we were able to disagree or give each other some feedback that didn't feel good, but not throw the relationship away. And so having those hard conversations I'm hearing and experiencing is a part of what makes a close friend or a best friend or a sister friend that intimate. That is what really solidifies it for you. Yeah. What you think, JL? Hard conversations.
I think a lot. Just seriously, just listening to that memory that y'all shared with one another. But Teka, I'm not really certain if we've had a difficult conversation or a conversation to talk about our friendship. Can you?
I don't think we have. I can't remember a hard one we've had. I think we've had seasons where we weren't as connected and close, where we felt the distance, and we were like, we need to get together. This? Can we fix this? Why I ain't talking to you? I'm not a text friend.
So we started Sunshine Fridays. You're right.
We did.
So we started Sunshine Fridays, and then we would definitely try to check in on the phone more regularly, rather than just communicating through text, because I would be texting you in the middle of the workday when you have clients, and you are not out. So I was in bed.
I'm texting back at midnight.
Right. But Stephanie and I have had many difficult conversations through the transitions of our lives, right? I'm not gonna say many, it's not like, all the time, but like I would say 3 very important conversations that I remember that centered around who she was becoming, and what she needed. So everything that she said before about being able to have that awareness and communicate those things. And then she always started with, do you have the capacity for this conversation? So I would say that friendship has definitely evolved. It shedded a lot of different things. It created a greater awareness in me, especially with the individual work that I needed to do with my own therapist, not relying on my 2 therapist friends to just solve all of my problems. Getting a marriage coach, being that, she is the friend in our group who's been married the longest. And so she has a lot of experience and wisdom. And so I seek that from her a lot. And so a lot of times in a relationship, you can feel like, oh, I am pouring, I'm giving all of this. And sometimes I ain't got no more to give, especially if you're just taking. And so that level of awareness and that verb of being a nurturer was really something that stood out to me in our difficult conversations. And we made it.
She's like, yes, we still bumping hitting though. They made it. They were able to reconnect. One thing I'm curious, we all have talked about like where spending time together was one of the expectations we had to express to each other, and how that has evolved or fluctuated depending on the season of life. And it made me think of love languages. And this is so random, again, but relevant. But you know how like in romantic relationships, it's like very evident of how you express a love language, right? It's like, if it's gifts, I need the flowers and the chocolate and the jewelry. If it's acts of service, it's like, take my car to put gas in it or something, help me do the dishes. If it's words of affirmation, tell me you love me, reassure me of the desire you have. If it's physical touch, that's obvious. I mean, not obvious. It could be hold my hand, let's cuddle. Yeah. It could even be physical intimacy. And then which one am I missing? Gifts, words,
quality time.
Touch. Oh, and then quality time. Yes. Let's spend uninterrupted time together. I think people automatically, or it's more easeful to think of the way that it shows up in romantic relationships. But what do you all think your platonic relationship love languages are? And is it the same as your romantic one?
It's not the same. But I don't know who I talked to about this. It was one of y'all. But when I was on my, I like to call it my little tour of difficult conversations. Most
not
recently,
a tour.
I swear, y'all, I am nice. I'm a really great friend to have.
No
It's
one said
just,
you weren't.
different. I got 3 kids, different seasons of life. You
Listen.
just require a little bit more. Anyway, on my little tour, I did have to reflect a little bit about like, okay, girl, so what is it that you need from your friends? Like,
Yeah.
what is your love language that is missing? And in
Mhm.
doing that reflection, I realized for me in this season, it's quality time. And, and I guess like I kind of look at my platonic friendships, with my sister friends, in the same way. I mean, obviously different, but in the same way that I look at like my relationship with my husband. Like I spend a lot of time with my friends and I pour a lot into my friends. And so the same way I'm not going to have a conflict with my husband and not address it. I'm not going to have a conflict with my sister friends and not address it. And so that's why I was knocking on Teka door. Like, so we going to talk about this. And so in that same way, like I also was like, okay, I have communicated my love languages to my husband, or just like where I need to be filled, weekly or, whatever. And so I also need to do that with my friends, and I want them to do that with me as well. And so definitely in this season, I've realized that it's quality time.
Yeah.
For
that
sure.
makes sense.
Away from my kids.
Let's be specific. We love them kids, but also FTK. No, I'm playing. What's your love language in friendship, JL?
Girl, I have no idea. When I take the love language test, all 5 of them come out the same. They're all equal. I want all of it. But I do think that in my friendships, what I have learned about myself is that I was definitely going to certain friends for the different things that I wanted. And so I was dividing, what those love languages look like, thinking like, okay, well, she has the capacity for this and she has the capacity for this, or we can do this together. But I would say, like Stephanie said, quality time is something that you don't get back. That is a social currency that is really important to me, especially with everything that we all have going on in our lives. To put aside some intentional time, whether it is on the phone, whether it's in person, whether we are texting like, hey girl, I don't want to talk, but I need to text this out, and you respond, like I value that. So I wouldn't say that my love language is one of the 5. I would say that it is the verb of being intentional, regardless of what it is like that you're doing or that I'm doing. It's the intention behind it. That I've taken whatever it is that I have to pour into you, or to pour into, how you want to be loved and cared for.
Yeah. That makes sense. I like that too. I think that intentionality piece is one of the things that's so important in adult friendships, and recognizing like there may be certain people that I can go to for certain things and others that I can't, and that's okay. I think my love language is also, I also say my love languages are all sometimes outside of the 5, but it can be all 5, and where I needed certain things from certain people. But also like I love like music and, food, good food and wine tasting, like those kind of experiences too, or those kind of things that connect me to my friends, I think speak to my love languages. And I'm sure it can fall under the umbrella of some of them, but anything that connects me or that is at the core of like my connection with my friends, I think it does vary, like I remember I was told sometimes I can be the friend that asks a bunch of like questions, right? And it's like reflection questions and we want to think deeper. I think there are some friends that I can really go deep with. My water sign, we be in the deep blue sea. Okay. And I love having those kind of conversations like, okay, let's go deeper. What about your childhood? Like, and there are other friends where it's like, we good to go out to dinner, have drinks, have fun, and that's about it. Maybe that's a season of the friendship, and being okay with that, maybe even celebrating that is something I've had to learn to do. That every friend is not going to be the same, and it's okay. That's okay, So yeah. Speaking of celebrating and Galentine's Day, how do y'all like to celebrate your friendships? I don't think that's something I've thought about doing until adulthood. Like in middle school, high school, celebrating friendships is going to your friend's birthday party. Like, it wasn't something super intentional. But now as adults,
that is intentional. Birthday
that is
parties are
intentional.
important.
A birthday party is intentional. You know what? Thank you. It is, especially the milestone ones. But yes, you're right. Going to a friend's birthday party is definitely intentional. But now that we've grown, and again, we still have birthday parties, but it may expand to other things. And so when I think about celebrating friends, I'm curious as to what that looks like, or how you all enjoy celebrating your girlfriends, your sister friends.
I think an easy one is obviously birthdays. Like, we will absolutely, put on a cute outfit for a birthday dinner, birthday party. Yeah. We love a good boat party. We do. But I also think back to being intentional and spending that quality time together. When you know what's happening for that friend, whatever is on their plate, you can find a particular moment or a particular thing to celebrate them in that way. Celebrate is also, we think it's very festive, but it's really just recognize this is where they are.
Yes.
And that celebration is a win.
Yes. Thank you for that clarification of like celebrating doesn't have to mean like you're experiencing this big to do or like a milestone or something. I can celebrate that it's Tuesday and we still friends. Okay. Y'all know I love a good card. So that's one of my ways of celebrating my friendships. It's like just randomly sending a card. Whether it has money or some minute, it varies. But I'll send a card just to let you know that you're in my mind or that I see you or that, I just want to let you know that I love you and I mean it, Yeah. So I love a good card to celebrate friends. And of course, brunch. Who doesn't love a mimosa or a good chicken and a waffle? So I like that too. I like to eat good food and just kind of have good times together. What about you, Stephanie? How do you like celebrating?
I think all the things that you all said and just I think one thing that really resonated with me, Teka, that you said is like you want people to feel seen. And I think that is like one of my biggest goals in my friendships is that my friends always feel like I see them and what they may be experiencing or struggling with. And so whether it's a birthday, the anniversary of, your dog dying or, something, a big milestone is coming up, for you and your family, or you just opened your new business. Like, I just want to see those seasons of life that are important to you and make sure you know that I'm anticipating what you may need and I want to be there. And so, and also I'm the birthday queen, so I will throw a good birthday party and make sure that my friend on my birthday that my friends feel celebrated and but even on my daughter's birthday, like she turned 5 and it was so important for me to for my friends to be a part of that. Like, we had so many people in this house for this 5-year-old birthday party, but it was because like they have been such a big part of me being able to raise her and my husband, us being able to do that together. We wouldn't be able to do that without our friends and their aunties and, uncles that we have in their life. And so I always want my friends to know how they show up for me, and to celebrate them for what they offer. Because once again, I know that sometimes I can require a lot. And so,
And that's okay.
I want to acknowledge that.
And that is okay. One thing you told me before, Stephanie, when I would say that, like, maybe I'm asking for too much, or maybe I require a lot, or maybe I am too much. You were like, the people in your life that value that are never going to think it's too much or that it's a lot. So I noticed as you kept saying it, I kept thinking like, it's not really that much. But I know that for your friends, depending on their capacity, maybe it can. Maybe we're like, well, girl, I'm in a season where I don't got it. And other friends are like, girl, this is just enough. What else can we do? Like, I ain't had no problem throwing on some wings and sparkly tights for a 5-year-old birthday party because it means that much to me. That wasn't too much. Plus, Amazon delivers in 2 days.
Hello.
Yeah.
But
And I think
I
one of
like
the
that.
beautiful things of, sister friends and just friendship in general, intimate friendship, is that there's this reciprocity that may not be necessarily equal, but it's like I'm pouring and you're, getting what you need, and then you pour and I get what I need. And there's just like this beautiful like flow of how we support each other and how we meet each other's needs and how we show up and all of that. And so I remember during my engagement season, I have 2 older sisters. And so during my engagement season, my friends were showing up and showing out. I was the first one to get married. So I feel like it was like, it was like, oh, like this is the best thing ever. Yes. And also because Victor and I were together for so long. So it was like, finally. And so my friends were showing up and showing out. And my sisters are older millennials. They like the last millennials. And so they were just kind of like, this is different. Like, why are y'all so into each other? And it was like something that I had to explain to them of like,
we love each other.
We show up for each other in this way. Like, it's nothing to drive an hour away to go pick up some cookies and drive back to the bachelorette party, because that's just like what we do. And so I love that there's this reciprocity that we have in our relationships, where I know in this season I may be, needing a lot. And there will be a season where I will then be full enough to give a lot when, my friends are in need. And so the beautiful ebbs and flows of sisterhood.
Yeah. I love that. And is the beautiful ebbs and flows of sisterhood.
I be trying to tell her I'm ready to host this book tour.
Girl.
Y'all, at this point, we have written about 3-4 books for Stephanie.
Hello.
She's probably looking like, wow, okay. Let's start this
Thank you for the
publishing
material.
deal. Speaking of books, though, I love that. That was a good segue, because this episode was also inspired by a book that came out, I want to say last year. It's called Sisterhood Heals. And so if anyone is familiar with therapy for Black girls, Dr. Joy Braden Hartford, Hart and Bradford, excuse me, Dr. Joy of Therapy for Black Girls wrote a book called Sisterhood Heals. And part of the book, she talks about how having a sisterhood or having intimate friendships, close friendships, best friends, however you want to frame it, it helps you to feel like you have a fulfilling life and like existence. Right? This is not just, okay, because I could to say I got friends and to post on Instagram that I have these girls in my corner. It's literally for our well-being that we have sisterhood. And so I can even speak from my own. I feel like since y'all probably have known me, I've spoken about how my sister friends are like my chosen family, because I've had experiences where, I am my mom and biological dad's only child that they have conceived and birthed, but I do have 3 older step siblings, and that's okay. We have our own relationship, but it's not like the sisterhood or the siblinghood that maybe others have, and that's okay. But in terms of my friendships, I'm like, y'all are my family. Like, y'all my friends that are family. And so part of that, and now I'm having like a light bulb moment. I think part of that was for my well-being, like my healing in a sense, where all of those spaces where I did not maybe get those needs met in the sibling realm, I was able to choose who were my sisters and choose who were my brothers. And that created this wellness in terms of my emotional safety and places that I can go where I could be my authentic self and not have to wear a mask, or, people who could call me out. And I knew that it was because they wanted the best for me and not because they wanted to just be mean and critique me or further my trauma, So when you think about your own experiences with friendship and sisterhood, and it could even be within your own siblinghood, but how have you noticed that it has really contributed to your existence, your life, your well-being? What do you think that has been for you?
That is That one is it's really, really hard for me. Like you, Tika, my siblings much older. Like, I mean, 17, 18, and 19 years older than me. And at a milestone year for me, 2019, I got married. And my brother passed. And I also turned 30. So I was returning from my wedding, about to celebrate my 30th birthday, and my brother dies. And my family was around me. My family came and supported me, and they showed up and provided that connection and said, "We got you." And I didn't need anything else. I didn't need anything more. So when it comes to the ebbs and flows of your life and the relationships that you have, the people who care about you will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think that's evidence of how much that has impacted you.
Yes.
And it's okay to still feel that.
Time.
That's
and we're
all right.
thankful to be, I'm thankful to be in relationships where I can show up for people in that way and be that support. Once again, why I take friendships so seriously, because life happens and your friends need you to see them as life is happening. And so, it was an honor to be able to, and to continue to walk alongside you in those ups and downs, or, different seasons of life. And I think for me, I recognize my privilege and my, my thankfulness in having two older sisters. And so I've never had a void in a sense of not having a close relationship with them. Although they're older and they're a year apart. And so they definitely have their own bond, but we're as thick as thieves. And, but I just feel like my sister friends are like the icing on the cake for me. And they have been a part of, all of those seasons of my life, and watching me transition from, middle school Stephanie to, older adult Stephanie with 3 kids and a husband, and figuring out life in this way. And so I'm thankful that I get, both sides of that. But I do feel like my friends have, they offer that healing space of, whatever comes up in life, we gonna get through it.
Yes. I love that. And I like how you said it, Stephanie. It's an honor to be able to show up for your friends in that way, especially without the assumption that this has to be repaid. The reciprocity is beautiful and it's wonderful when you're able to do that in different ways. But I think when you have gone through, and I wonder if time is even a factor now that I'm thinking about it, because sometimes you'll have friends that you've known for a shorter amount of time, and the way that you show up for each other can be just as intimate as a friend that you've known for 20 years. So I will say that throughout time, or just through different seasons of life, it is an honor to be able to see your friend, witness their vulnerability, honor their capacities that change depending on what's happening in their seasons of life, and still be able to say, that is my friend. That is someone that I still love, and I ain't gonna let up. Full throttle. All right.
10 toes down.
10 toes down. 10 white toes down. When I think about what it takes to let someone in and even deem them as a sister friend, I know for me, and JL has a saying that, there's friendship applications. Okay. We need to go through an interview and a vetting process.
Yes.
You may not have friends that are in that category yet. I'll say yet, because there's time and there's opportunity to grow there. But what would you say, and you can answer this in however you feel, but what would you say it would take for people who may not be that close to you or in that intimate circle yet? what would it take for them to become a sister friend or a best friend or that intimate friend? Or is that even something you desire, actually? Because for some of us, we like, the door is closed. We're at capacity.
I think for me, not to be too preachy, but I think it would be the Holy Spirit making it clear to me that this is someone who I need to be a part of their life and they need to be a part of my life.
That's real.
I think now, especially because the stakes are so high, if you enter my life, you may potentially have an influence on my children and, you know, on me, on the family around me, on the friends around me. And so because the stakes are that high, I feel like it got to be really clear to me that this is a relationship that I need to pursue the same way. Like I said about them romantic relationships, the same way you need to use discernment about who you date and who you sleep with and all of those things and those soul ties. You know, me and Teka, you know, not joke around, but we say like, we're soulmates. And I feel like your friends, you know, can have that much influence and power in your life. And so at this point, I feel like, or, you know, just being in divine spaces and allowing those connections to happen. I reconnected with someone recently because we both were at a women's conference together. And I knew that, you know, we reconnected through God making that happen. And so I think that's what it would take for me.
She said you got to be an act of God for you to be able to let into this. And you know what? I laugh about it because I can laugh about it, but I don't want to minimize. I'm serious too, but I don't want to minimize the fact that it does require discernment and being grounded in whatever your values are. So if your values are connected to your spiritual life, know that and let that guide your decisions and who you let into your life. So that is a good point, Stephanie, because I think even as you said it, I was like, oh, that's a good point. Because I've had people who have come in and out of my life, even in the past, like, how long I've been in Richmond? 6 years, that were seasonal or who I immediately connected to. And it was so strong. And I thought they were going to be in my life for forever. And then things just kind of faded away or there was some sort of conflict. And I feel like God was probably like, they weren't meant to be in your inner circle anyway. You tried to make a seasonal friend a lifetime friend. And that was like a lesson for me. And so that kind of taught me in my own way, you need to start practicing discernment when you think about or allow people into your life. And so that's good, Stephanie. I hope whoever's listening took note of that.
Yeah. And can I just add, like, we even have been talking about like our capacity and how, you know, like even now when we schedule to see each other, we pulling out our calendars, we coordinating days, and it usually be about three weeks out before it's like, okay, we could finally see each other. And so I'm like, I don't have time. And so if I am going to make time, I needed to be clear that this is something that, you know, God wants to be a part of my life and that I have the capacity for. Because once again, I am a good friend. So we're not just going to be like, oh, we friend. Like, no, if I'm your friend, I'm trying to show up for you in any way that I can. You know, obviously with my priorities, but showing up for you. And so if we doing this, we locked in.
We doing this.
I need to make sure I got the capacity for that. Yeah.
That's a good point. Because time, like you said, JL, is social currency. I feel like I say this often, time is worth more than money to me sometimes because I can't get back my time. I can make money back. I cannot get my time back. And so if I am committing to spending time or energy on or with someone, it has to be worth it.
Yeah,
it has to be, and even if it's just for a day, it could be a stranger on the street. That time had to have been worth it. That I spent talking to or pouring into that person, but especially in friendship, like you said, because priorities. We got a lot of stuff going on. So if I'm carving out, you better be a good fit.
So get in where you fit in.
No, but what do you think, JL? What does it take for if there is someone who may not be at that intimate level yet? do they have the option or possibility of coming into the inner circle? And if so, what would it take?
You know, I used to joke about this, but I truly am serious. I'm friended up. Um, I am a type of person where, as you all know, I get different things from my different friends. I also have different sides of me and different priorities. And sometimes that involves not a completely different person, but a different attribute of mine that I am bringing to the table or to the forefront. So I have my own, as many of you all have your own business, but I have friends in business. We call them frienders. And that's a different relationship than a sister friend, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain aspects of my time and of my life that I will share, but they're not getting necessarily the intimate side of me that I would feel, most comfortable with. So I am at capacity on those applications. The board has reviewed everything and no more going
Not
forward.
the board. I'm sick of y'all.
Oh, you shouldn't be on the board. But like
Chairman,
Stephanie said, hello. And after God discernment, like something pulling literally from the depths of my soul and my heart saying, you were supposed to be here. And you were supposed to nurture this connection. I meet a lot of different people across paths, especially through work, both jobs, through friendships, through different family, just different activities. And as both of you have said, it takes discernment to really distinguish, like, hey, are you just here for this event and activity? Or are you supposed to carry me through? Are you a mentor? Are you a prayer partner? Are you accountability partner for a different goal that we have? Is the label friend and the expectation, does that need to be applied to this relationship right now? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So what is the role? Is it just for a season, or is it for a reason or a lifetime? And does the label friend apply? Because earlier I had said it, like there's 5 stages of friendship, right? And so let me see, someone may be at, what's one of the friendship levels? Okay, strangers. Strangers means I know of you. And they may need to stay there. You might have an acquaintance, meaning I know you. Oh, I know Teka. Oh, I know Stephanie, we've talked, we've hung out in, general spaces. Then you have the casual friends where you start to like that person, close friends. I understand you. And then intimate, I connect with you. That label of intimate friend, like you said, JL, it is not something that we give out easy peasy. You got to earn it. And I don't think that earn it in the sense of like, you have to grovel and do what I say and, but more so of like, earn. I don't like the word earn, actually. I think there has to be alignment. It has to be aligned with what God is doing in my life and with what my values are. And I can even speak from personal experience. I did not always operate by that. Like y'all have witnessed, I was quick to call somebody a friend and probably didn't even know their last name, their parents' names, their own values, what they had going on in their life. And so you're right. That label or that role or that identifier as a friend, that should not be given out lightly. And so I hope people who are listening can consider, okay, so where may people in my life fall into the 5 categories of or stages of friendships? And am I okay with leaving some people where they are and knowing that it's okay to just say, this is an acquaintance or this is a casual friend, and not try to force it? And then ask yourself, why may I be trying to force some of these connections that maybe God does not have for me?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. So, yeah.
And I think also when you kind of cut out the background noise and not really focusing on like quantity over quality, you really start to realize that, your friends probably have everything that you need. It's just about the friends you already have in your group have everything that you need. And so it's about, I guess like exploring those conversations, or just, changing the scenery, or allowing yourself to have new experiences with the friends that you may already have, and just opening up the doorway for you to see like, oh, wow, like we actually can connect on this. Like, this is something that we, really enjoy doing. I was having a conversation with someone recently where I realized we both have a desire to homeschool our kids. This is somebody that's been in my life for all my life. And I did not know that until this weekend when we had a conversation. And so I'm like, oh, well, look at God aligned in that value. And now we will hopefully continue to have more conversations about that. Or us realizing we both wanted to host a prayer night for our girlfriends. And so it's like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. You letting me know that I got what I need already.
Yeah.
And I just need to start, sharing more about what's on my heart, or, whatever, and seeing like, how does that align? So, yeah.
When you were saying that, it made me think of how, I don't know if it was Sarah Jakes Roberts, who's one of the faves, or somewhere else, but the calling on your life. So now I'm getting deeper. I told y'all, water. Okay. But sometimes you have to remember or be clear about the purpose or call on your life, and realize that the people connected to you, not all of them are going to be able to travel with you in that, but there are going to be some who are literally going to be vessels for taking you to the next step, or giving you the idea, or helping you to propel some sort of plan that you have. And so, like you said, someone that you know your whole life, now y'all are in a similar season and you have shared values. And it's like, this is feeling very aligned with what God is calling me to. And 20 years ago, that may not have been the case. Maybe y'all would have connected on something totally different. And so I like how you said, like, pay attention to who is already around you, and cultivate those connections, and figure out like, wow, what do my friends have? And really go outside of the box. Don't just think like, well, we like to go out and drink together. Okay, yes, y'all like to have drinks and kiki and maybe gossip, but maybe your friend has a gift, or has some sort of talent, or has some sort of insight that can give you the answer that you've been looking for, praying for. I'm a full believer that God uses people all of the time. And so we have to be conscious of that as well, be God conscious of that. So thank you for saying that, Stephanie. That was a good point too. Yeah. I love friendship. So let's see, to kind of close, I want to share a quote, and then also you all can share whatever it is that may be on your heart. But as I was looking at the book Sisterhood Heals by Dr. Joy, there's a quote that I read, and it says, "Sisterhood is that sacred space where all the masks that are worn for the world fall off. It's the place where you lay down your load, refill your cup, and laugh until your belly aches. Our sister circles literally prolong our lives." And so as you're listening to this episode, and you're thinking about who is in your life, maybe you're reflecting, it's Galentine's Day, you want to celebrate friendship, or maybe it's Galentine's Day and you're feeling bad. Maybe you're feeling down because you're like, I don't really have people close to me that I can celebrate with, or that I feel are loving and pouring into me. Look around you, do a little audit of who is already in your life. Think about the 5 stages of friendship. Reflect on your own capacity and vulnerability and your needs, and start there. Even if it's just one person that aligns with all of that, consider allowing them in and see where it goes from there. But make sure you pray first and listen. But yes, as we come to the close of this topic, ladies, is there anything you would say to someone who is maybe in a tough space when it comes to friendships, or they're trying to figure out like, how do I do this sisterhood thing in adulthood? What would you say to them?
That's a good question.
I think the first thing,
sorry, go ahead. No, you go.
The first thing that I would say is, obviously take it to God in prayer, and he knows the desires of our heart. He knows that we yearn to be in connection and in relationship with people. And so be in prayer about that and be very intentional about, how you pray about that. But then also, looking for those opportunities where you may already be connected to people and figuring out if there are connections that you can take deeper. If there's something that's getting in the way, usually I think we kind of get in our own way. And so unless you live in a remote place and there just genuinely are not people around you, there's probably something that is coming up in you that is stopping you from being able to be vulnerable or being able to connect with people. And so I would say, figuring out what your support is or who you feel comfortable talking to, whether a therapist or, mentor, whatever, family member, but really processing what is it that I believe about myself that is stopping me from being able to connect with other people, and start there, because that's probably what's getting in the way. But yeah, looking at the connections you already have and figuring out how you can deepen those. If you feel like that's a safe space for you, then trying it. Exposure therapy, you might be anxious about it, but try it, see how it works. If it works, you retrain your brain to believe something else about friendships. And if it doesn't work, you know not to go that route. But yeah.
That's good.
And I think just to add what both of you have already said, one, going to God in prayer and making sure that you understand and are listening to Him. But be very clear about what you are asking for. When you say, I want a friend, you might get a friend that is Stephanie, right? Who will go 10 toes down to be there and celebrate every moment. You might get a Teka who is going to be that vibrant water sign around you and ask you those deep, dramatic questions at times. Are you ready to receive that? Are you ready to be in a reciprocal relationship of what it could be? Are you really prepared to take on what you're asking for? But also, I'm sorry that you're having a hard time. I'm sorry that this uncomfortable feeling of what it looks like to be a friend is hindering something, whether it's in your personal life, professional life. It's stopping you from going after what it is that you want. But really sit and reflect, because not all discomfort is bad. And maybe you need to sit in it for a bit.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you all for sharing that. That was very wise and definitely rooted in what this podcast is about, which is, one, to validate experiences, but give you something to take away with it. And the common thread or theme I'm hearing here is to pray about it, know yourself and know what you're looking for, what those needs are, and then take a risk, push yourself out there and learn from it and see what happens. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
All right,
this
y'all.
is fun.
Yes. All right, y'all. Let's get to the next segment, which is our gift. So this is our gratitude practice on the podcast. The G stands for gratitude or goal. The I is for your intention that you're setting. The F is for where do you need to have some more faith or maybe focus. And then the T is for how are we going to take action? What are the next steps? And so I can go first to share my gift, and then I'll have the ladies go after me. But my G, my gratitude, I will say that my gratitude is I'm thankful. See, here I'm about to get real deep and spiritual, but I'm grateful that God kind of already gave us an example of what it means to be a friend through Jesus and through showing that he had friends around him in a close circle, and he had, people that were maybe on the outer ring of that, maybe the casual friends, but he showed us what it means to be a friend, and part of that was vulnerability. So I'm really grateful that, if anything, there is that example of friendship for us. My intention My intention, I feel like 2023 was a haze for friendship for me.
Mm.
And so my intention in 2024 is to apply all of the lessons that I've learned, and to really embody the lessons, and to say, you know what, I'm not going to just let these fall on bad soil. Like, I really want to start to apply all that I've learned. Faith. Let's see. Faith. I want to have faith that my friends have what I need. And that even if they can't supply all of it, that there are going to be spaces that I can go to get my needs met. And not suppress or keep in out of fear that they can't meet those needs. Express it, share it, be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And take action. Take action. Like we said earlier, as adults and with our busy schedules, we have to be so intentional about our time. And so my take action is to get back to scheduling regular hangouts and quality time with my friends, since that is one of my love languages. So that is my gift. That is my gift. Yeah. Who would like to go next? Share your gift with us.
I don't want to go after Teka.
Why?
It was really
Hers
good.
was all deep. Mine are very...
It's okay.
Great. So it'll be a good.
Remember, we are all different. We bring different things to the table. We also bring different things to the podcast.
That's right. So my gift, which I think I want to do G for gratitude. I want to, one, just thank God for placing these wonderful women in my life. He has placed beautiful angels across all of the different seasons of my life. And I think that in my friendships, I have not been expressive of that gratitude to him, because they've really been my rock and my supports. My intention is to continue to pray for them. I never know, unless they tell me it's specifically what is going on in each of their lives. My therapist gave me this little analogy that while I am living in my own movie, they are watching it, and the same is applicable for them. So if I am continuing to uphold them and their families in prayer, that is just another. That's a virtual touch and agree moment for me. My faith has been Proverbs 27, verse 9. Oil and perfume.
Scripture.
Comes from the sweet counsel of a friend. So I love that scripture has actually been ruminating a lot this past month for me, and the month just started. And then my T is be intentional about celebrating intentional about giving. What is that word? Giving the gifts. Servicing? Y'all, I'm trying to say, making sure that I am showing my friends through their love language. Like showing up for my friends through their love languages.
There you go. Yep. That makes sense.
I love that.
Come on. What was that scripture again?
27:9.
Proverbs 27:9. Come on, Proverbs. All right.
I'm writing that down. I've been practicing writing my truths, so I like that. My gift, my gratitude is just as I'm learning my friends and evolving and all of that, I am so thankful that I am starting to uncover, or grateful that I'm starting to uncover new things about my friends. And so I love that I'm just in this new exploratory phase, even though I've been friends with most of my friends for over 15 years. It's just nice to be able to reconnect and find new things learn new things about them and about our friendship. And so I am excited, but also grateful for where that's leading my friendships. And for my intention, I feel like in this season, just in general, I want to be able to be intentional about having more fun in all areas of my life. And so it really trying to embrace that in my friendships. And part of that is being more spontaneous. I feel like I've gotten so used to like pulling out the calendar and being very like strict about how I schedule my time and all of that. And so while I still have boundaries, I want to be more spontaneous and free and fun in my friendships. And so that's part of my intention for this year and this season. My focus, I'm going to do focus for my F.
Okay.
And that is really getting back to praying more intentionally over my friendships and my relationships in general, and making sure that I'm listening to what it is that they are in need of, and taking that, to God. And so being more intentional in that way. And then my take action would be, really just focusing more on individual time in my friendships. I feel like I'm usually the friend who's like, hey, let's schedule a call all together, or let's schedule a trip, or let's all go out and do X, Y, and Z. And so I love doing that. And hopefully there will still be space for that. But I really just, want to reconnect with my friends individually and knowing. And once again, going back to my gratitude, learning more, about them. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I love that. Thank you both for sharing your gift. Look, Joe's like, yes. Thank you both for sharing your gift. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to practice your gratitude, your intention, your faith or focus, and your take action, do it. You can do it every day. You can do it when you hear the podcast. You can do it once a week or as often as you need to. But remember that gratitude is a way for you to shift your perspective. All right. The last segment, one of my faves, and I always say this, but it's Tunes ATM, Tunes at the moment. This is the part of the podcast that speaks to one of my love languages I talked about today, which is music. I believe that music is very powerful and has a way to heal, but it also has a way to connect. And so this is the time where we're going to share songs that could be related to this topic of friendship. They could just be unrelated and something we've just been really enjoying recently. If you don't know already, there is a playlist on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify called Tunes ATM. Look it up. I have done my best of keeping that updated. And so if you are interested to see what the collective playlist includes from all of our guests and the different episodes, you can check it out on those platforms. The link will be in the description of wherever you're listening to your podcast or watching. But I'm actually going to switch it up and I'm going to have the ladies share first what their vibe tunes are, like what music or songs have been on their heart or do they want to share with the listeners and watchers. I'll let you all go first.
So when you asked me to be on the podcast, I immediately was like, oh, songs about friendship. We have so many of them. So first, shout out to our girl, Brandy.
Me and JL's girl, Brandy. Stephanie's girl, Monica.
And that's fine. But also Girl by Destiny's Child. And then my fave, Cheetah Sisters by the Cheetah Girls. Okay?
I love it. That is so cute.
And I have one more. So this one actually came up today on my walk. When I was walking the dog this morning, just getting assessment. So first, I sent the scripture in. It is oil and incense bring joy to the heart, and the sweetness of a friend is better than self-counsel. But the song that came up was God is Good by Jonathan Majors. And there's just something about those lyrics where it's so funny where he was talking about like the different seasons that he's been in. Like he started from third grade until carry on. And I'm like, that is what I think about when I think about my friends, because all of my friendships have been so long.
Yeah.
Long lasting. And that. So God is Good. Jonathan Majors. McReynolds.
Also sounds like Majors. As in Martin Luther King Jr. Jonathan Majors.
I was just gonna let it ride. I was like, I think people know.
I was like, okay, maybe she means Nelson. Okay, no, not Nelson. Okay, McReynolds. Thank you.
Y'all,
that is
got
funny.
The Jonathan right.
Happy
right?
Black History Month. All the Jonathans, especially the MLK Jonathan.
Oh,
thank you. I love those songs. Okay, so we got Brandy, Destiny's Child, Cheetah Girls, Jonathan McReynolds. Got it. Okay.
My JL stole mine. So Cheetah Sisters.
Which one? Oh, look at us.
I feel like I love the type of friendship that takes me back to like childhood and just being young and free. And so it's just something about that song, like listening to it with my cousin on repeat and doing karaoke, that it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. And so that's my song.
Love it. I love it. Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Sisters. Okay. Any other ones? That's one. She stole it.
I didn't know we were supposed to have multiple. That's all for me.
That's it. All right. Okay. So I'm about to say jail came with a playlist, but that's okay. We embrace it. We love it. We'll put them all on there. Okay. So I have 3 songs. The first one, it is about like self-love, confidence, but also releasing what doesn't belong to us and making room for what does, including friendships and healthy, wholehearted connections. And it's called Masterpiece by Iman Europe. And I love it because it's like an affirmation in a song, but in a song form. But it also does really have you reflect, okay, who am I? What is in my life? What do I need to let go of? And what do I need to make room for? At least that's what I got from it. The other one is called Got One by Moonchild and Alex Isley. Listening to it, it sounds like a love song, but I believe love songs can also be, I mean, they can be worship. Some of them can be worship, or they can be applied to your platonic relationships. And so, part of the lyrics say, I care, rest assured you got me, which is this offering reassurance and affirmation to each other that we're not going anywhere. And close friendship has definitely given us the honor of seeing each other at the highs and the lows, but we're here. You got me. You got one, at least one, a friend. Even if you don't feel like you have anything else, you got me. And then the last one. So I recently watched a movie. I think it was on Amazon Prime, maybe, but it was called Old. It's by M. Night Shyamalan. I think that's how you say his last name. He's that movie director and producer. Yeah. It's like, and not always scary, but kind of like thrilling. I don't like scary movies, so I don't watch scary movies. But so follow me. All right. He has a movie that's called Old, and one of the characters kept singing this song. And I thought it was just like, just like a movie song. It was by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. Her name is Salika. First, and I was like, okay, Salika. And the song is called Remain. The lyrics talk about someone being your reason to remain here in life, in love. And so I thought about how sister friendship can be that intimate, where they give you a reason to remain in those moments when it's dark, when it's tough, when life is beating your ass.
I love that.
Your sister friendships can be a space for you or a reason for you to remain. And so I really like that song. The way she sings it can kind of have a haunting to it, but really listen to it and pay attention to the lyrics. But yeah, those are my songs. So if you have some songs or you just want to tap into what we're listening to, again, visit the playlist. The links are in the descriptions of wherever you listen or watch your podcasts. All righty. All right, lovely ladies. Well, I really appreciate y'all for, first of all, coming and opening up season 2 of Here We Are. In this month of love and Black history, it is wonderful to have my beautiful Black women, my sister friends, on the podcast with me.
Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month. If you're listening to the podcast or anyone would like to know kind of where to find you, is there anything that you want to share with them about what you have going on? Any offerings, any platforms, anything you want to share with them about you?
Nope. I'm a mama focusing on my babies, so you're not going to find me nowhere but at my house.
I know that's right.
I'm going to be there too with mine.
Listen. Okay. Anything you want to share, JL?
No, not at this time. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. All right. Well, that is it for the podcast. Thank you for listening. Let's connect. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the Here We Are podcast with Teka. Also check out the link in the bio for anything that you want, including how to get connected with us. You can email at theherewearepod@gmail.com. And I hope that you got something from today's episode. Remember that your story and experiences can inspire and pour into so many, including those who are right beside you, like your friends. All right. Mm-hmm. Thank you again, ladies, for being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.